drink coffee out of this because I'm too lazy to go buy a coffee mug. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick Owens, and if you haven't followed me on Twitter, or you don't follow me on Twitter, you might not have seen my tweet as to why I did not post a video last week. To give a brief summation, I didn't post because I didn't feel like my content was worth people's time at the moment. Not because I think my content doesn't have value, but because with the protests and the movement of Black Lives Matter going on, my content takes a super far backseat to what's happening in the world. I would much rather people digest content over that than content over me taking my short-lived experience and using it as a tool to, give context to people. I don't think my content really has that much value to outpace a human rights movement. It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense. But in that tweet, I did also mention that the PS5 event was coming up, and I would be stupid to not cover it. So this is going to be my video on the PS5, the event going on, and the games that were released. I'm going to talk about not all the games. I'm going to talk about a few that I think require some showcasing, and then I'm going to talk about Xbox at the end of the video, because I think with the Xbox conference coming up in July, it is incredibly relevant for me to talk about what they're going to do, what we can expect from them, and what type of competition this is going to breed between the two console developers. So let's start with the first trailer that PlayStation released. Holy shit, they started off with a banger. If you don't count GTA, which I don't. GTA doesn't matter. GTA 5 is becoming modern day Skyrim. It started on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. It came out my junior year of high school, and then it got ported over to the next gen consoles, or the current gen, I suppose, Xbox One and PS4, and now it's being ported to at least one of the next gen consoles with PlayStation 5. They're even doing an event going on where you get like $1 million cash or whatever like that for like multiple days until GTA 5 for the PS5 comes out, which is neat, but like I don't think it matters. It's just modern day. It's just Skyrim, really, just re-releasing it on every platform. Not a huge deal. The real first trailer that they gave us was Spider-Man. More importantly, Miles Morales Spider-Man. Now, for people who didn't play Spider-Man, you might not know who Miles Morales is, or for people who don't know comics, you might not know who Miles Morales is. You should, because Into the Spider-Verse focused on Miles Morales, and that is an incredible movie, both from a movie standpoint and an animation standpoint. Highly recommend you watch it. It has a great soundtrack, great action, great plot. It looks gorgeous. Highly recommend it. So Miles Morales Spider-Man is coming out. It's actually coming out this year, which is incredible. The soundtrack that we saw, that little like song that played during the trailer, seems pretty. It slaps pretty hard. I'm looking forward to seeing what the team does. I'm looking forward to see the different powers that they give us, and I'm looking forward to see how they expand the suit system that was in the original Spider-Man that was released in, when was that? Was that last year? Was that 2019? Or was that 2018? I'm going without a script, so I haven't done any research. If you guys know what year, go ahead and link it down below, or put it in the comments. Although I bet I'm probably just going to post the year of release, like right here or something. So the next game that they kind of showed off that drew a lot of attention was actually, there was a few titles that they showed off, but none of them really gave us a big, oh my god, what is happening. They released a lot of indie titles, or I don't want to say indie because that's not really the right word, but they used a lot of PlayStation 5 stuff. They did Oddworld, which is coming out. They haven't had a game in quite some time. Kena, or Kenu, I think it's Kena. Kena, Bridge of Spirits, beautiful art style, looks kind of Souls-ish inside of its combat, but the story looks completely different, and I'm hoping that it's just a very different game than what we've previously seen. They showed off Ghostwire Tokyo, which I think looks fantastic. Ghostwire Tokyo is going to be, it looks very pretty. It looks also very unique. in how it's played and the theme around it. So looking forward to seeing those visuals. It doesn't really look like a horror per se. It probably has horror elements, but I don't think it's a pure horror game, which looks pretty interesting. We also saw. There's a lot of stuff that I'm forgetting. If we want to talk about a game that garnered a lot of attention for the wrong reasons, we can talk about Bugsnax, which was made by the people who made Octodad. Bugsnax is just weird. Plain and simple. It's just weird. I have a lot of questions about Bugsnax, and I know damn well none of them are going to be answered. The game is just really weird. It's in this incredibly weird space. There's no real way for me to describe it. There's no real gameplay, really. And it just doesn't seem like it's... I don't know. It's going to be a weird one, for sure. If this looks any different, it's because I just moved the camera like 2 inches. So, sorry about that. Showed off a little bit of Godfall, but Godfall is also coming to play PC, so it doesn't really count. Hitman 3, but Xbox tweeted that, so we can assume it's coming to Xbox as well. If Hitman wasn't on all platforms, it would be really whack. We saw the Horizon Forbidden West, which looks phenomenal. It looks absolutely gorgeous. All the games that we saw looked gorgeous. The PS5 certainly has graphical capabilities that are above what at least I expected, especially in a live setting. It'll be interesting to see how far that goes, but we'll figure it out in the coming months when PlayStation 5 gets announced and more titles are released to us and we can see more about that. It'll be interesting to see, though. We also saw a new Ratchet and Clank game, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, I believe, where at the very end of the trailer, Ratchet and Clank get separated. Clank ends up in a very futuristic city, and then what we can assume is female Ratchet. She has white fur. I'll probably put a picture up of her, or maybe the trailer part. She shows up. There's a lot of theories regarding her. I think my favorite one is like a granddaughter, a great-great-granddaughter of Ratchet, like a big relative or like some distant relative. I also think because it's just a different dimension thing, it could just be a universe in which Ratchet, the character Ratchet, is a female. But I swear to God, if her name is Wrench, I am going to riot. No. We also saw some pretty interesting games come out. We saw Returnal, which has this unique time loop mechanic, which is going to be interesting to see. Is it called Pragmata, I think? I'm not entirely sure. Doing a quick search on my iPhone. Give me 1 second. Pragmata is correct. The astronaut design looked kind of Dead Space-y. And then there's a girl who I assume is a robot because she was breathing in outer space. And then Robot Cat. Love Robot Cat. Robot Cat's pretty great. We saw no gameplay about it, just a cinematic. Seems interesting, but we won't know until it comes out. The two big hitters that I wanted to talk about, well, there were 3 games that kind of really hit me, and that was Horizon Forbidden West. Now, keep in mind, I have not played Horizon Zero Dawn, but the game is gorgeous. It has a very unique style. The gameplay looks fun, and the world was just absolutely massive and beautiful. So, plus there was some cool like rendering technology that was going on there. I'll see if I can find the GIF and put it in there. It's always been a game that's kind of interesting to me from a developer standpoint. So hopefully Horizon Forbidden West can also do that. Also, Horizon Forbidden West seems to be, it's set in America, and we're getting some different types of animals going on apparently. I saw snapping turtle, I saw crocodile, obviously there's elephant, or like mammoth, woolly mammoth, whatever that is, we saw that. So we're going to see some new animals, some new robots, hopefully not just dinosaurs anymore, and we'll explore this new continent. So it'll be kind of cool to see. The other was Miles Morales Spider-Man, because I am a huge comic book fan. If you guys don't know, Marvel and DC are some of my favorite content out there. I watch a ton of content over Marvel and DC. I love it. Anything new in that is great. Miles Morales Spider-Man is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it. More importantly, I can't wait to hear it. I'm a huge audio guy. I love music. So the soundtrack is, I think the soundtrack is going to be more like hip-hop type oriented. which I think is going to be really cool, fighting goons with this hip-hop soundtrack in the background, not just all this dramatic brass orchestra stuff with Heroes, because that gets kind of old. Hopefully we get a new, fresh take on superhero soundtrack. That'll be super nice. Can't wait to see that. The final game, and I know there's a ton of games to talk about, but the game that I want to talk about right now, well, there's two. One we saw and one we didn't see. The one we didn't see I'm saving for last because I think it's important to note, because I talked about this in a previous video as well. The game that I want to talk about that we did see is a game that not really anybody saw coming. And before that, there is another game I want to mention. I lied. Resident Evil 8 Village was revealed. We didn't see any gameplay. I think, actually no, we probably did. It was just like a walking thing. But it takes after RE7, which, you know, makes sense because RE7 did really well. And it looks cool. It has a unique environment. But I'm not a huge fan of snow levels. I don't like snow, both in real life and in games. I think the contrast is really weird. It's hard for me to like a snow level. So it depends on how they do it, but it's, you know, it's whatever. Game looks pretty cool. The logo looks really sick. I didn't think it was coming. I saw Village and I was like, oh, it's a new IP. And then it did VII, or VIII because they took the L. Yeah, the two L's. Anyway, super cool. Loved that. Thank you, Capcom, for putting that out and giving us something. Next game, the game that I want to talk about more is FromSoft. People thought, oh, Elden Ring, great, cool. And then we saw the night. And once we saw the night, I looked and I said, oh no, I know where this is. I know what this is. This is Demon's Souls, baby. Let's go. Okay, Demon's Souls is like the first Souls game, really. It came out like 2009, 2 years before Dark Souls did. However, it was a PS3 exclusive, so not many people got to play it, and it wasn't really advertised that well. So it has a huge cult following now because Souls got so big. But by itself, it didn't really do that well, comparatively, which is what people were scared about. But now, Bluepoint is doing it. Bluepoint as a studio is doing really well. They kind of kick ass. They have a few notches under their belt when it comes to this stuff. And obviously, FromSoft is going to be putting input in on certain things. Miyazaki himself, because he was like that was like his first thing. He'll probably be talking to Bluepoint about what should be happening in terms of design or in terms of level remapping or something like that, or mechanics or something like that. He'll have input there, hopefully, and we'll get a true remaster. Actually, I don't like that. Actually, no, true remaster works because I talked about that in my Final Fantasy VII video. If you guys haven't watched that, I recommend you do, because this game falls under that. Because Dark Souls was not a true remaster. Dark Souls was just like a remaster, just a blank upgrade from graphics. And because of that, it didn't sell terribly, terribly well. It did well, but not as well as I don't think FromSoft wanted it to. Demon's Souls probably will do more because it hasn't been on other consoles. If it comes to Xbox and PC, but primarily if it comes to Xbox and PS4 or PS5, it'll sell incredibly well. Looking forward to Demon's Souls quite a bit. I think it's going to be a hit. I think it's going to introduce a lot of people to Demon's Souls. It's going to be really fun. Interested to see people. The lore in that game is phenomenal. So looking forward to seeing all of that. Hopefully we'll get more details in the coming months about a release date and maybe some gameplay so people can understand what's actually happening here. To end things off, and I know doing an hour-and-a-half conference in 15 to 20 minutes is an injustice to Sony, and I apologize, but I'm going off the top of my head here because I think this is more organic in terms of video structure, and I'm trying to make this as organic as possible and make it as close to my personality. So a script doesn't really help me there. I formulate thoughts and then I speak. So a game that I talked about in a previous video regarding the Xbox thing, I talked about what Sony could do there. Now I'm going to talk about what Sony didn't do and what Microsoft can do to one-up them. The game that everybody was really looking at in terms of the PlayStation 5, they were looking at Spider-Man. They were looking at Last of Us, which we did not see. Last of Us was not at that event, but I think because it's so close to release, it kind of makes sense that we didn't get it. And then God of War. Now, people who have watched my videos know that I think God of War 2018 is one of the best games of the 2010s, bar none. It's an incredible game. I love it so much. We didn't see it. Makes me sad. given it's only been a few years, I think 3, since God of War released. So, or no, 2, because it came out in 2018. I just said that. It's only been about 2 years since God of War released, so it make sense that we'd have a full game coming out by 2021. The development cycle for a game that is probably going to be pretty big, expansive, and has a lot of depth to it, and probably I'm thinking there's a character change happening at some point between Kratos and Atreus or something like that. So they probably need to map out Atreus's levels and stuff as well. More content, love that. We didn't see it. It's sad for sure. I was totally expecting we would get at least a cinematic trailer. I think just something to prime us for God of War. Maybe not even a release date. Probably just 2021 or 2022 is just saying that because there were a few games that just said coming 2022. So I think it's definitely sad that we didn't get to see it, and because of that, I don't think it'll be a launch title with the PS5. I could be proven wrong, and Santa Monica could just come out of nowhere and be like, "Aha! Fooled you! It's coming out." I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a later title, a later release title. I think that will hit PlayStation in the coming during its launch. It depends on what Microsoft does. And here's the thing. We're going to switch over to what Microsoft can do now. Because their conference is in July. They have a little bit more time to prepare and pre-record stuff. Okay. Microsoft has a big chance here. If Microsoft wants to get ahead early, all they have to do is show one game. Halo Infinite. Which they have said that is going to be there. But they need to make it the forerunner. And that's not a pun. I'm not trying to make this a pun on the Halo universe. They need to make this game stand above every other title they are showing. They need to show the most about this game. They need to share the most about this game. They need to give us a release date about this game. And they need to do all of that from the beginning. And they need to keep pounding content on Halo Infinite. And keep showing us why this game is worth it. Because currently, Xbox, I'm assuming that Xbox is going to give us a price point for the Xbox Series X and a release date. Because I think they're farther along in terms of development. They've already done an event. They're already showing stuff. They're already developing games for it. I think they're going to be giving us something. PlayStation has yet to do either, which is really shady. Not from like me being annoyed. I'm actually skeptical as to how much this console is going to be worth. They did not give us a price point, which is the biggest thing, and they did not give us a release date. Now, we can assume it's coming out in like November or October, November, near the end of this year, because we see games that are coming out in 2020 that were at the PS5 conference. So presumably something is coming out that those games can be played on. Xbox has a big chance to win out here. Now, I don't like the term console war. I think it's an outdated term that has no meaning in today's environment. But market dominance is a thing. And if Microsoft is able to pull ahead, it'll take a miracle for Sony to come back, and that miracle is probably going to be Last of Us 2 ported over to PS5 whenever it happens, and God of War 2021 or whatever it's going to be called, God of War 2 or God of War Act 2, God of War Part 2, whatever. Those two games are going to be the driving forces of Sony during launch. And if Microsoft does not have titles to compete with them, which currently they have Halo Infinite. So if they push Halo Infinite and they show that Halo Infinite has more content than we thought, Halo Infinite pushes the boundaries of what a first-person shooter can give in terms of content. If they show us that, then I think they can win out. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this content, I recommend you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me figure out what people are liking on the channel. It also helps me figure out, it helps keep the channel alive in a sense. It helps me keep going. Seeing the numbers go up while I don't do it frequently I don't look at them frequently. It certainly is a boon to my mood to see that. So if you guys are interested in doing that, it's there's no monetary cost at all. All you do is hit a button. Can you be quiet? It just takes 2 simple clicks to do. if you guys have any suggestions for future videos or games you want me to cover, you can leave them in the comment down below, or you can tweet me at Kyogre. I'll leave that here. You can follow me there. Updates go out there probably weekly. I try and tweet on a regular basis, but it doesn't work too much. My Instagram is also down there. If you guys want to DM me on there, I'm going to respond pretty quickly because I don't really do anything on there, so I'll notice it more. But I don't post there very often, so it's whatever. But Twitter, you guys should follow me on definitely. Thank you for watching.